Hello and welcome back to another episode of Conquering My Collection. There's going to be quite a few of these coming up that are kind of retroactive vlogs, episodes of Conquering My Collection, films I've already watched for the first time on Blu-ray but didn't get around to making a in-the-moment vlog for Conquering My Collection. And the lights right now are so blindingly bright, it's hard for me to look at the viewfinder, so obviously I'm going to be like trying to get the right non-glareness on the Blu-ray, but you might have to bear with me because I need to find a different setup here for this. I thought I'll just sit down by my collection, really cool, casual, get the lights up, and it's just like, whoa, hang on a minute, because it's just reflecting in the screen and it's really hard to see anything. Anyway, the film I'm going to be talking about is This Is Where I Leave You. So this is a 2014 comedy directed by Shawn Levy, who did the Night at the Museum films. He's done a lot of kind of romantic comedy kind of films, and he also most recently has directed a few episodes on every season of Stranger Things. He is an executive producer, I believe, on that show, and it's based on a book by Jonathan Tropper of the same name, This Is Where I Leave You, from 2009, and Jonathan Tropper went on to not only write this film, so he actually wrote the script for his own book for the movie, and he also wrote and produced the 2017 film Kodachrome, which is a very underseen, under-talked about film on Netflix, which I highly recommend, with Ed Harris, Jason Sudeikis, I think, and Elizabeth Olsen. Very good film. Anyway, we're here to talk about This Is Where I Leave You. So I don't know if anyone would remember this, probably not, but I picked this up from Poundland and a couple of years ago maybe, and I purely got it because Adam Driver was in it. And that to me was like, okay, it's an Adam Driver movie, I'm intrigued. This was obviously the year before he starred in The Force Awakens and became Kylo Ren, and a bit more world-renowned, I think. Really is impossible to not have glare on this thing. Maybe I'll just hold it like that, so you can barely even see the cover. There you go. I'll just do the video like this. I always talk about the weird conceit of the Blu-ray community where you have to kind of hold the thing up at all times. But I have the copy, physical copy right here. But it is kind of, I don't know, it feels like you've got some sort of visual aid in some way, shape or form. So this is a film about a family going through the grieving process. I believe the Jewish term for it is Shiva, which is one of the various steps of grieving, a loved one that you've lost in the Jewish faith. And I actually really love this idea as just a concept, which is sitting Shiva, or Shiva, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, is essentially spending a week of getting the family together and sitting down and having guests over and talking through the loss and processing the loss. It just feels like a much more potentially cathartic way to deal with death than just a funeral and then, like, you know, have a few drinks, tell a few stories, and then move on with your life. I think taking a week to really respect that person and to really talk about them, maybe for some people that's too much. Maybe that's like just overkill, and maybe I can get less glare from this side. No, it's still it's still really difficult to get it with that. Oh, that's all right. Just okay. So the main character here is Jason Bateman. No, the glare is just returning, isn't it? Jason Bateman, who I really loved in Game Night. So I've become more of a fan of him and more interested in the things that he's done, but the cast is great. We've got Jason Bateman. He plays a man whose wife has just cheated on him, and then his father dies, so he has to go and do the Shiva. And his sister's played by Tina Fey. His younger brother is Adam Driver. Their mother is Jane Fonda. Timothy Olyphant is a man with a brain injury who lives across the road. Catherine Hahn and Corey Stoll play a couple. Corey Stoll is the eldest brother of the family, I believe. Dax Shepard plays the guy who's cheating on Jason Bateman's wife. It's a very good cast, and it's a really funny film. It actually leans more into the drama than I thought it would. Rose Byrne is also in the film. She plays a potential new love interest for Jason Bateman. I like how she was kind of, Rose Byrne was the, you know, the typical character in one of these films who kind of comes along when the man needs her the most. But ultimately she doesn't really provide that kind of instant kind of, everything's great now and we're in love and this is a love story. It was a bit more natural and kind of realistic than that, I thought, and I really quite liked that element of it. But this film overall is very much, you know, you can see beat for beat where it's going. There was one surprise at the end of the film where I thought, I could almost kind of see it coming, but I really liked it, and it was a nice little twist actually. So I thought that the And if you've seen the film, you might know what I'm talking about. There's a particular twist at the end when everything is going to hell, and this twist kind of stops everyone in their tracks. I thought it was really sweet and really nicely done and handled, and just the cast is really good. Adam Driver, the guy who kind of sold me on this film, not personally. I was sold on the film purely because of his involvement, and I want to see more from him because I think he's a great actor. He is this really brattish kind of underachiever, you know, of the family. He isn't really doing much with his life. He wants to be involved in the family business now that his father's passed away. Corey Stoll doesn't want him to be involved because he knows he's reckless and won't take it seriously. And Jason Bateman is just kind of there for the ride and kind of trying to process his wife kind of cheating on him for over a year and trying to reconfigure what his life is going to be without his wife and now also without his father. And there's a few really touching moments in the film. Overall, it's just very good. You know, I really enjoyed this. It was a good time. I enjoyed that it aired more on the side of drama at times than comedy, but there's a healthy dose of both. And Adam Driver was particularly not over the top, but compared to what you usually see from him, which is fairly restrained and kind of really kind of broody, angsty stuff, or at least, you know, the things that I've seen, like Star Wars and Marriage Story more recently. But he has that comedic side to him as well, and he's, yeah, there's a few things he did in the film that really made me and Connie laugh, just the way he would answer the phone. I've forgotten what he did off the top of my head now, but the way he answered the phone was really funny, you know, just little quirks here and there that he did, where he's very much leaning into that kind of quirky character in this film, and it mostly works. A little bit grating at times and a little bit overbearing, but it fits the overall movie. The movie, I don't think, is trying to be anything. This might be an insult. I don't think the movie's trying to be anything particularly profound and incredible, but it's telling you just a good story. You know, there's good moments. It's enjoyable. How long is it? 103 minutes. You know, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't need to, and I thought it was a really good film. Jane Fonda was really good too. I didn't know that she was in this, or if I did, I'd forgot. And so that was a pleasant surprise, and I really liked the relationship between Tina Fey and Jason Bateman as the brother and sister. Particularly, there's a few scenes where they sit on the roof there, and yeah, I really like this film, and I will watch it again in many years. It's not a film to go back to immediately, but it is one that I really liked. And yeah, it's full of jokes. It's full of, you know, it's just one of those films where there's nothing too deep to go into, I don't think, without really spoiling anything anyway. But I would recommend this. If you see this in a Poundland, it is well worth £2 to pick up and check out. And if you're a fan of Adam Driver, I think it's worth the price of admission for that, to see him in a more different kind of role. Before we watched the film, we were wondering, where is the scene where he gets his nipple twisted? Turns out to be right towards the end of the film. The Timothy Oliphant character, actually, with the brain injury, was really quite sad and bittersweet, actually. I really liked what happened with his character, actually. I won't spoil anything there, but it was quite, you know, and overall, it feels like a book. It feels like one of those books, and, you know, a lot of the things that happen with the characters feel fairly cliched. But I think if you're okay to embrace cliches, I think you'll really like this. And I really am okay to embrace them, as long as, like, the performances and the story are done well, and I think they are done really well in this. And it's always intriguing when you have a writer of a book taking on the script for their own movie. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't read the book. I maybe might even be interested to, but I think that the writer did a good job of you know, crafting the story for the medium of film. It's not a very interesting film visually. It really is all about the characters and everything. But yeah, I would recommend it moderately. It was a good time. It was pretty much exactly what I expected it would be, and just a little bit better than that, I think, which is always a plus. So that's it. That's another Blu-ray from my collection, Conquered. Would I keep it in my collection? I absolutely would. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans and calling into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause